YouTube, what's poppin'? It's Ryan, your 2022 Madden cover athlete Milano, back with another video. And before we get into the content of the video, make sure to subscribe. Just short and sweet today. Today we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are undeniably one of the best teams in all of football, and I think John Harbaugh has a lot to do with that. And of course he does. He certainly does. He's the head coach, but I think he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. I think he might be one of the best, if not the best coach in all of football right now. He is able to mold his team into whatever their strengths are better than any other coach in the game, including Bill Belichick. And I know that sounds like an outlandish statement, but John Harbaugh this last season has done so well with the pieces that he's given, and he's done it year in and year out, especially last year with Lamar Jackson. The knock coming in was that Lamar Jackson was just a running back. He couldn't throw the football, and the entire offense was molded in order for Baltimore to succeed on the offensive side of the ball. Lamar Jackson is one of the most dynamic players we've ever seen in the National Football League, and he continues week in and week out to show what he can do on a football field and continue to silence the doubters. This team is tailor-made for Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have the strength, at least the arm strength, to throw deep as consistent as you would necessarily want him to, but he is pretty darn accurate, and he can run the ball at the quarterback position better than almost anyone. And in the modern NFL, where mobility and elusiveness and speed are all characteristics that you definitely want, if not need, in a quarterback, Lamar Jackson fits the mold perfectly. And sure, he has running capabilities, but that doesn't make him a running back. That makes him a very, very good quarterback that is a dual threat, multi-dimensional guy who keeps you on your toes. And Lamar Jackson works well with this system, and the system is molded around him. They run the ball a lot, whether that be with Lamar or with any of the running backs. It's starting with Mark Ingram, who could be a legitimate workhorse back, but he doesn't have to be. They added J.K. Dobbins during the draft, drafting him early, and the season before they did the same thing with Justice Hill. They also have Gus Edwards on the roster, and the 4 running backs, and then including Lamar. Fantastic running game there in Baltimore, and they have the offensive line to back it up. The offensive receiving core, it's there. It doesn't really do much, but it doesn't have to. Baltimore runs the ball more than anyone else in the league, and the receiving core is serviceable enough. Hollywood Brown has served as a burner on the outside and has really broken out in his first year in the league. They drafted Devin Duvernay out of Texas. He's going to fit right into the fold immediately. And they also have Willie Snead and Miles Boykin, who are just kind of there. But they do still reel in balls. The guy that is the true number one, though, is Mark Andrews. He fits this offense absolutely beautifully. He doesn't go deep too often. He stays within the hashes, and he stays short for Lamar. It's exactly where the Baltimore passing game is focused, is those inside of 15-yard passes in between the hash marks, because it keeps the defense on their toes, where they can't crash down immediately. Mark Andrews gets right behind the defense for an easy reception, and it works so well. It's so simplistic, but the small, minute details that continue to help Baltimore excel are just fantastic, and this Baltimore offense is incredible. And then moving on to the defensive side of the ball, they lost a little bit. Patrick Owosu, as well as a few others, departed on the defensive side of the ball, but this defense is still very, very, very good. You look at this team year in and year out, and Baltimore just continues to reload on the defensive side of the ball. They brought in Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe up front to go along with Brandon Williams, and that is a solid defensive front 3. And then coming off the edge, you look at Pernell McPhee, Matt Judon, and Jalen Ferguson, and that is a pretty solid pass rushing group as well. And the secondary, it's even better. It's better than both the defensive line and the rushers. They might have the best secondary in football, and if they don't, it is close. I think New England has a slight edge, but Baltimore, very, very productive secondary and cornerback grouping. Jimmy Smith Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey. All three I think are legitimate number one corners. All three I think I would trust as number ones on any team. And that goes along with Earl Thomas at the safety position. This team is fantastic in the secondary. The question mark is at linebacker. They added Patrick Queen through the draft, and he should be that solid middle linebacker, but they don't really have a guy next to him. LJ Fort is the guy that's projected to be the starter right now. No, just no. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it on a team that's competing for a Super Bowl. LJ Fort has been a borderline roster guy his entire career, and now he's expected to start on one of the best defenses in the entire league. It's going to be difficult. They're going to have to mask that a lot. I think they need to add a linebacker or at least have someone come up and produce. Getting into their schedule, the beginning of their schedule is incredibly easy, and I think that this Baltimore team is going to perform incredibly well. They only face 3 playoff teams before their bye week in week 8, and I think through the first 7 games that they're going to finish 7-0. Their only 2 really difficult tests are against the Chiefs in week 3, which should probably be the game of the regular season, if we're being completely honest. And then they have to travel to Philadelphia in week 6. That's going to be a little bit difficult. But overall, I really do think that this team is going to start out 7-0. If not, it's going to be very, very close. The second half of the schedule after the bye week is going to be a little bit more difficult. I think they lose 2 of their first 5 games out of the bye. They have to face against Indianapolis, New England, Dallas, Pittsburgh. It's a rough stretch coming right out of the bye week. But I do think that they definitely bounce back from that because their last 4 games of the season should be automatic wins. The Browns, Jags, Giants, Bengals. 4 wins, easy. Momentum headed into the playoffs, and Baltimore should be rolling headed into the postseason. I have them finishing at 14-2. I think that's closer to the upside of where they're going to finish. They're not going to be 16-0. Sorry, Colin Cowherd. It's not going to happen. This team is not good enough. They do not compare to the Patriots of 07. They do not compare to the Miami Dolphins. I don't even really think they compare to the Colts of the early 2010s. So, no, I don't think that this team is going to finish 16-0, but they should be competing for that 1 seed with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think they should easily walk away with the AFC North unless the Steelers take an astronomical jump. And I have the Steelers as one of my sleeper teams, but they are no Ravens. So really, I think Baltimore could finish anywhere above 12-4, and I wouldn't be surprised. But that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment, is Lamar Jackson a running back or a quarterback? Comment down below. And if you say running back, I'll judge you. But give your honest opinion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.